Contact and confrontation. They're coming through the heliopause now. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Maya Rise announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. 63 vessels of varying configurations. Largest is approximately 4 kilometers in length. Admiral Darius Cole stood motionless before the primary observation wall of Lunar Command, watching as holographic representations of the incoming fleet materialized against the backdrop of stars. After decades of SETI broadcasts and hopeful gazing into the cosmos, humanity's first contact would not be the peaceful exchange of knowledge that so many had dreamed of. Time to intercept at current velocity, Cole asked, his weathered face betraying no emotion. 18 hours to Earth orbit, sir. The room fell silent. 200 personnel manning their stations, and not a word spoken beyond the necessary. They had prepared for this moment for 15 years, ever since the Proxima signal had been detected. An alien transmission that, once decoded, contained only navigational data, and what xenolinguists had determined was a declaration of intent. Earth would be harvested. Begin evacuation protocols for orbital platforms, Cole ordered, and alert the Thunderhead crew. Tell them it's time. In the vastness of space beyond Neptune's orbit, Fleet Commander Vrax of the Caldari Imperium observed the primitive blue world through enhanced sensors. His exoskeleton glistened under the command deck's illumination, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Analysis of the target system, he inquired. Science Officer Nekta manipulated the control interface with her 4 upper appendages. Consistent with preliminary scans, Commander, the third planet shows significant mineral wealth, extensive water resources, and a dominant species with primitive spacefaring capability. They have established small habitation pods in orbit and a minimal outpost on their satellite. Defenses. Negligible. Kinetic weapons primarily, some directed energy capabilities, but nothing that poses a threat to our shield technology. They appear to have detected our approach, but have initiated no major military response. Vrax's compound eyes shifted, focusing on the tactical display. Curious. The data packets we intercepted indicated they've been aware of our approach for several orbital cycles of their world. Perhaps they recognize the futility of resistance, Nekta suggested. Intelligence suggests they are a fractious species, divided into competing territorial units. They may lack the unified response necessary to mount an effective defense. Or they're hiding something. Tactical Officer Zorn interjected. I recommend caution, Commander. Vrax considered this briefly. Your concern is noted but unnecessary. Begin standard conquest protocol. Deploy harvester ships to the orbital constructs first. Eliminate their eyes before moving to planetary targets. As the Caldari fleet penetrated deeper into the Sol system, they remained unaware of the activity taking place on the far side of Earth's moon. In the cavernous Thunderhead facility, buried beneath the lunar regolith, Dr. Elena Kovacs supervised final preparations as technicians moved with practiced efficiency around the enormous chamber. Power coupling synchronization at 98%, she reported to Admiral Cole through the secure quantum link. Phase distortion within acceptable parameters. How long until full operational capability? Cole's holographic representation stood beside her, seemingly solid despite being transmitted from Lunar Command. The Leviathan can deploy in 40 minutes. We've never spun up the Thunder-Soul drive to full capacity outside of simulations, but all indicators are green. Cole nodded. They'll be in weapons range of our orbital platforms in less than 2 hours. We need to be ready before then. Kovacs understood the weight of the moment. 15 years of secrecy, of pooling Earth's greatest scientific minds, of unifying humanity's resources toward a single purpose after the Proxima signal had made clear what was coming. 15 years of developing technology that, until the signal, had been merely theoretical. We'll be ready, she promised. The Leviathan was humanity's ultimate gamble, a vessel unlike anything ever constructed, housing technology that fundamentally altered what was possible. Hidden within the massive underground lunar hangar, the 8-kilometer-long vessel represented Earth's only real hope. As the Caldari fleet approached Mars orbit, they deployed a vanguard of smaller attack vessels toward Earth's orbital infrastructure. The International Space Station, the Lunar Gateway, and various commercial habitats received evacuation orders with barely enough time to execute them. Watching from Lunar Command, Cole waited until the alien vessels committed to their attack vectors before giving the order that would change humanity's place in the cosmos forever. Dr. Kovacs, deploy the Leviathan. Phase 1 is authorized. Deep beneath the lunar surface, massive doors began to part, regolith cascading as a section of the moon's surface itself retracted. From the artificial crater emerged the bow of a vessel that gleamed with an almost liquid metal sheen. The Leviathan rose silently into space, its hull engraved with intricate patterns that pulsed with inner light. Aboard the vessel's command deck, Captain Samira Delal took her position at the central interface. A former theoretical physicist before the military had recruited her, she understood better than most what the ship beneath her feet was capable of. Thunder-Soul drive initializing, reported her XO, Commander Jackson Way. Probability field stabilizing at 89% coherence and climbing. Communications, establish a direct link to the lead alien vessel. Dalal ordered. Make sure they can see us. The Caldari were already reacting to the unexpected emergence. Commander Vrax stared in disbelief at the massive human vessel now visible on their sensors. Impossible, he hissed. Their technological capability is nowhere near this level of advancement. We're being hailed, Nectar reported. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Show me, Vrax commanded. A holographic representation materialized, showing a human female in a midnight blue uniform adorned with silver insignia. This is Captain Samira Dalal of the Earth defense vessel Leviathan, she stated calmly. Your fleet has entered sovereign Sol space with hostile intent. You will power down your weapons and withdraw immediately, or face the consequences of your aggression. Vrax's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation recognizable to his crew. An impressive vessel, human, but you are vastly outnumbered. Your primitive world cannot stand against the might of the Caldari Imperium. Surrender now, and your species may be permitted to exist as a client race rather than being completely harvested. Captain Dell's expression remained unchanged. We suspected you might say that. Allow me to demonstrate why that would be a mistake. Before Vrax could respond, Dell gave the order that activated the Thunder-Soul drive at combat capacity for the first time. Initiate probability cascade, targeted disruption pattern alpha. Space itself seemed to distort around the Leviathan as the patterns on its hull flared with blinding luminosity. A wave of energy, not directed in beams or projectiles, but as a field effect that expanded instantaneously, washed over the vanguard of the Caldari fleet. The effect was immediate and devastating. 23 Caldari vessels simply ceased functioning, their systems completely powered down as if they had never been activated. What happened? Vrax demanded, mandibles now clicking furiously. Report. Unknown weapon effect, Tactical Officer Zorn replied, his own agitation evident. It appears to have systematically disrupted every power system in the affected vessels. They're completely dead in space. Impossible. No energy weapon could penetrate our shields with such precision. It wasn't an energy weapon in any conventional sense, Necta observed, all 4 of her manipulator limbs working frantically over the sensor controls. Preliminary analysis suggests it was a probability manipulation field, as if the energy pathways in those ships were convinced they had a 0% chance of functioning. On the Leviathan, Captain Delol addressed the Caldari commander again. That was a minimal demonstration, affecting only your advance units. The Thunder-Soul drive manipulates quantum probability fields. Your vessels didn't simply lose power. The probability of their systems functioning was temporarily reduced to 0. She paused, allowing the implication to sink in. We can apply this effect across your entire fleet simultaneously. We can make it permanent. We can extend it to your life support systems. The choice of how to proceed is yours, Commander Vrax. For the first time, In his long military career, Vrax felt genuine fear. This was technology beyond anything the Caldari had encountered in 3 centuries of expansion. If the humans could manipulate probability itself, how? He finally asked. Your species showed no indication of such advancement. We've been aware of your approach since you transmitted your intentions 15 years ago, Dale explained. When faced with extinction, humans are remarkably capable of setting aside their differences. Every nation, every resource, united toward a single purpose: survival. The Thunder-Soul drive is the result. As Vrax considered his options, alarms blared across his command deck. Multiple energy signatures detected, Zorn reported urgently. From Earth's moon, from Earth itself, from positions throughout the system. One by one, dozens of installations revealed themselves. Defensive platforms that had been concealed by the same probability field technology, suddenly appearing as their cloaking systems deactivated. Earth was not the vulnerable target they had expected. It was a carefully prepared fortress. Your next move, Commander? Captain Dalal inquired calmly. Vrax knew when he was outmatched. The Caldari were conquerors, not suicides. Stand down all weapons, he ordered his fleet. Initiate withdrawal protocols. As the Caldari fleet began their retreat, Mayarais turned to Admiral Cole at Lunar Command. They're actually leaving, she said, disbelief evident in her voice. Cole nodded slowly. For now. But they'll be back, or others will come. He gazed at the holographic representation of the Leviathan hovering majestically against the backdrop of Earth. The universe just became aware of us in a way they never expected. Everything changes from this moment forward. Revelation and resolution. 3 days after the Caldari retreat, the Leviathan maintained its position in high Earth orbit, a gleaming sentinel visible even to the naked eye from the planet's surface. For billions of humans, it had become a symbol of salvation and a source of both pride and unease. The revelation that such advanced technology had been developed in secret had sparked global debate about the future direction of human civilization. In the White House Situation Room, Admiral Cole addressed the assembled leadership of the United Nations Security Council. The Thunderhead project began 15 years ago, immediately after we decoded the Proxima signal, he explained. The message wasn't just a declaration of intent. It contained detailed technical data about the Caldari fleet. Data that, once analyzed, provided insights into physics we had only theorized about. You're saying they accidentally gave us the keys to defending ourselves? The Russian representative asked skeptically. Dr. Elena Kovacs, now standing beside Cole, shook her head. Not accidentally. We believe it was deliberate, from a different source. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The transmission appeared to come from Proxima Centauri, she continued, but our analysis revealed subtle markers suggesting it was rerouted, possibly from much farther away. Someone wanted us to know the Caldari were coming, and they wanted to give us a fighting chance. Which brings us to our current dilemma, Cole interjected. The Caldari have withdrawn, but our long-range sensors indicate they've established a position at the edge of our solar system. They're communicating with their homeworld, presumably requesting reinforcements. How long do we have? Asked the Chinese representative. Based on the data we've gathered about their FTL capabilities, at least 6 months before any significant reinforcement could arrive, Kovacs responded. But that's not our only concern. The deployment of the Leviathan was visible across at least 60 light years. We've announced our presence and our level of technology to anyone watching. In the void between Neptune and Pluto, Commander Vrax faced the holographic representation of Imperial Overseer Calx, whose enormous form dominated the communication chamber. Your failure is unprecedented, Commander, the Overseer's voice boomed, distorted slightly by the quantum communication link. No harvesting expedition has ever been repelled in the history of our expansion. The humans possess technology beyond our understanding, Vrax replied, maintaining his composure despite the implicit threat in the Overseer's tone. They have somehow developed probability manipulation on a scale we've only theorized about. Our weapons were rendered useless. Impossible. Calcs dismissed. They are a primitive species. Your sensors must have been deceived. I witnessed it directly. Vrax insisted. If the Imperium attempts a direct assault, even with our largest fleets, we face certain defeat. This species has somehow leaked beyond conventional technological progression. The Overseer's compound eyes narrowed. The Hegemony Council will not accept such a conclusion without evidence. You will obtain this evidence, Commander. You will determine the source and limitations of this human technology, or you will not return to Caldari space. After the transmission ended, Tactical Officer Zorn approached cautiously. Your orders, Commander. Vrax stared at the distant blue speck that was Earth. Prepare a covert infiltration vessel. If we cannot defeat their technology, we must understand it and find its weakness. Back aboard the Leviathan, Captain Dellel reviewed the sensor logs with her senior staff in the vessel's strategic command center. They're still up there, she noted, gesturing to the holographic display showing the Caldari fleet's position. And they're preparing something. Long-range sensors detect activity consistent with the preparation of a smaller vessel. Commander Wei frowned. Infiltration attempt. Most likely. They need to understand what they're facing before committing to another engagement. The Thunder-Soul drive could disable any vessel they send. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel, the ship's chief engineer, pointed out. But that wouldn't give us the intelligence we need, Dellel countered. The Caldari aren't the only threat out there. Now that we've revealed ourselves, we need to understand their capabilities as much as they need to understand ours. Her gaze shifted to the holographic representation of Earth rotating slowly beside the tactical display. Admiral Cole and the Security Council have authorized Phase 2. The senior staff exchanged glances. Phase 2 had been theoretical, a contingency plan developed alongside the Leviathan, but never fully expected to be implemented. The probability calculations suggest a 78% chance of additional hostile forces arriving within 1 standard year, Dellel continued. We need to be ready not just to defend, but to project power beyond our solar system if necessary. That means understanding how the Caldari and others like them operate. You're suggesting we allow their infiltration vessel to approach? Wei asked. Not exactly, Dellel smiled slightly. I'm suggesting we beat them at their own game. 2 weeks later, as the Caldari infiltration vessel Shadowclaw prepared for its approach to Earth, Commander Vrax received an urgent communication from the fleet's sensor array. Unidentified vessel approaching at high velocity, reported Science Officer Necta. Configuration unknown, but energy signature matches the human probability drive. Show me, Vrax ordered. The tactical display shifted to show a sleek vessel, significantly smaller than the Leviathan, but clearly of related design. It was approaching directly toward the Caldari fleet's position, making no attempt at stealth. They detected our infiltration preparations, Zorn surmised. This is likely a preemptive strike. No, Vrax replied, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. If they intended to attack, they would have used their larger vessel or remained concealed. This is something else. Open a communication channel. The holographic display flickered, revealing Captain Dowell once again. Commander Vrax, I apologize for the direct approach, but time is a factor. We've detected unusual quantum fluctuations at the edge of our system, consistent with the formation of an artificial wormhole. Vrax's compound eyes widened slightly, the only indication of his surprise. What concern is that of ours, human? We have made no such attempt. We know, Dellel nodded. Our analysis suggests it's the signature of a Corsari scouting vessel. I believe you're familiar with them. The name sent a ripple of tension through the Caldari command deck. The Corsari were infamous throughout known space. Not an empire like the Caldari, but a nomadic predatory species that targeted both developing worlds and established civilizations with equal ferocity. How would you know of the Corsari? Vrax demanded. Your species has never left its home system. The same source that warned us of your approach included data on other spacefaring civilizations, Dalil explained. The Corsari were specifically highlighted as a common threat. The quantum fluctuations matched their wormhole technology precisely. For a moment, Vrax was silent, considering the implications. Why bring this to us? We are still your enemies. Potential enemies, Dalil corrected. The Corsari are different. They don't colonize or harvest. They annihilate. If they've detected the energy signature of the Thunder-Soul drive, they'll see both Earth and your fleet as targets. You're proposing cooperation. Zorn interjected incredulously. I'm proposing survival, Dalil replied. Our vessel, the Harbinger, is equipped with a scaled version of our probability drive. Combined with your fleet's conventional firepower, we stand a better chance against whatever comes through that wormhole. Vrax studied the human captain carefully. This could be a trap. But the Corsari were a known quantity, a brutal force that had clashed with Caldari expansion efforts multiple times in the past century. If this is deception, human, you will regret it, he finally stated. But if Corsari scouts have indeed detected your technology, larger forces will follow. We will coordinate defensive positions. As if punctuating his decision, alarms sounded across both vessels. The quantum fluctuations were intensifying, forming a visible distortion in space approximately 2 million kilometers from the Caldari fleet's position. Wormhole formation confirmed, reported Maya Reyes, now serving as Harbinger's tactical officer. Signature matches Corsari parameters. Emergence in approximately 3 minutes. Captain Dalil turned to her XO. Commander Wei, prepare the Thunder-Soul drive for targeted probability disruption. We'll focus on their propulsion and weapons systems, leaving their life support intact. A capture rather than destruction. Wei questioned. Intelligence is our priority, Dalil confirmed. The Security Council wants to understand what we're facing out here. As the wormhole stabilized, a vessel emerged, angular and predatory in design. Its hull covered with what appeared to be overlapping plates of dark material that absorbed rather than reflected light. Corsari scout vessel, Commander Vrax confirmed over the communication link, heavily armed for its size. Typically crewed by 15 to 20 warriors. The Corsari vessel immediately began scanning operations, its sensors sweeping across both the Caldari fleet and the human Harbinger. They've locked weapons, Reyes reported tensely. Hold position, Dalil ordered calmly. Let them make the first move. That move came moments later as the Corsari vessel accelerated toward the Harbinger, evidently identifying it as the greater unknown and therefore the priority target. Incoming energy weapon discharge, Reyes announced. Pattern suggests disintegration array. Dalil nodded to Wei. Execute probability disruption, pattern Omega. The intricate patterns on the Harbinger's hull pulsed with energy as the Thunder-Soul drive engaged. Space seemed to ripple between the two vessels, and the Corsari weapon discharge simply vanished mid-trajectory. Direct hit on their weapon system, Wei reported. Probability of functionality reduced to 4.3%. On their tactical display, they watched as the Corsari vessel's weapon ports dimmed and its velocity decreased dramatically. Now, Commander Vrax, Dalil transmitted. The Caldari fleet moved with precision, surrounding the suddenly vulnerable Corsari vessel. Tractor beams engaged from multiple ships, holding it immobile. Clever tactic, human, Vrax acknowledged. Using us as the visible threat while your vessel neutralized their capabilities. Mutual benefit, Commander, Dalil replied. Your fleet gets the credit for capturing a Corsari vessel, which I imagine will play well with your Imperial Overseer. We get the intelligence we need about a common enemy. Vrax's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. And in the process, you demonstrate another application of your technology, while learning about our tactical procedures. Very efficient. The Corsari vessel secured, Dalil opened a private channel to Admiral Cole. Phase 2 successful, Admiral. The Caldari took the bait exactly as predicted. And the Corsari vessel? Cole inquired. A genuine surprise, but a fortunate one. The probability calculations from the Thunder-Soul drive suggested only a 23% chance of actual Corsair involvement at this stage. Their early appearance accelerated our timeline. Cole's expression remained serious. The Security Council is proceeding with Phase 3 preparations. The first 5 Thunder-class vessels will be completed within 4 months. The question remains whether to pursue diplomatic relations with the Caldari or maintain our technological advantage in isolation. Dallel gazed at the stars visible through the Harbinger's observation port. The universe just became much smaller, Admiral. Isolation is no longer an option. We've stepped onto the galactic stage. Now we need to decide what role humanity will play. As the Harbinger and the Caldari fleet escorted their Corsair prize back toward Earth orbit, Captain Dallel reflected on the 15-year journey that had brought humanity to this point. From a species confined to one planet to a civilization with technology that altered the fundamental rules of physics. From potential victims to emerging powers. The Proxima signal had warned them of danger, but it had also catalyzed the greatest leap forward in human history. Whoever had sent it had changed humanity's destiny forever. And as Earth grew larger in the Harbinger's viewport, Dallel wondered if that had been their intention all along.